Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second part of our Storytelling for Change campaign. My name is Rama, for those who were here last time, and I'm the project coordinator for the Storytelling campaign. I'm hosting this session today with my colleagues, and my co-organizers will be on the background helping me. So we're glad to share the next hour with you, kicking this exciting campaign together, wherever you are from Canada. So first of all, I would like to acknowledge uh, the land where we are live from, the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. Indigenous people have been caring for these lands over thousands of years. We acknowledge and deeply appreciate the continuing resurgence, storytelling, and teachings about the relationships and responsibilities between Indigenous communities and the settlers. We invite you to learn more about the territories and post the Indigenous lands that you are currently watching from in the chat box. As a reminder, this Zoom meeting will be recorded. So we are not asking you to, open your mic and your cameras, but you can participate through the Q&A session down there. You can see it and you can submit your questions to everyone via that function. In case of any technical issues or questions, please send us a direct message using the chat function and we'll do our best to help. We will monitor the Q&A, me and the mentors, and we will answer the questions submitted. After the presentations, the recording will be uploaded to a public website to be viewed by the other people and members of the public. And the recordings will not include the attendees' names. So through the Storytelling for Campaign Change, we ask you to reflect on what belonging, diversity, resisting racism and justice, community and personal journeys of starting over mean to you. We know you have important ideas, experiences that you like to share that will shape our futures. Our challenge to you is to create a video in form of 30 seconds to 3 minutes, sorry. And when you submit your film, you will be entered to draws of winning some amazing prizes, as well as having your film shared widely across the country. To find out more about the campaign rules and prizes, visit migration.ubc.ca/storytelling for change, and you will find this link posted in the chat box. So without further ado, I will go forward and introduce our first presenter for the day, Lama Alrakad. So Lama earned a graduate degree in theater directing in Russia. Following her education, Lama served as a theater director in Syria. While working in Syria, she honed her television and film directing skill and continued her study. Lama's first television and movie industry job was that of an educational television channel in Syria. Over the next several years, Lama took the lead on directing a range of television programs during her time as a television director. Lama developed an independent documentary film and worked as a freelance filmmaker. Lama has been involved in the film industries in various ways, having taught as a drama and television directing instructor in Syria and also an instructor in Canada. After her immigration to Canada, Lama decided to build a further experience in visual effects for film. During her existence career, Lama has directed more than 30 documentary film and series and many live shows. I'll pass to Lama and let her have a 15 to 20 minute talk. Welcome, Lama.
Thank you so much, Rama, for this nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today. So I'm going to tell you how we can do the storyboard for our nice films. So I'm going to share my screen now. Rama? Okay, thank you. I need you to stop sharing. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I cannot share, so maybe Sagona can share my. Okay, thank you so much, Saguna. Thank you. Yeah. So my name is Lama Alrakad. I'm going to give a small introduction about direction for our films. Yeah. Next slide, please. Thank you. So today I will try to go through film direction. First of all, storyboarding and the project planning and types of shot, rule of third, the golden ratio composition. And if we had time, we are going to have a little information about camera moves. Mhm. Storyboard and the project planning. Storyboard is a graphic organizer that consists illustration or images displayed in sequence for purpose of pre-visualizing a motion picture, animation, motion graphic, or interactive media sequence. The storyboarding process in the form it is known today as developed in Walt Disney, as we can see in the screen. So those are from Walt Disney. It was at 1930s. So as we can see like action here. It's Woody gets his hands chomped, and we can see how his hand stuck in his mouth, and the location it helps us to know where we are going to do. So next slide. Okay, so how we are going to do storyboard. So it's very helpful for our movies or films or whatever we are going to do in media. So a film storyboard, sometimes referred to as a shooting board, is essentially a series of frames with drawing of sequence of events in a film, similar to comic books or a film or some section of the film produced beforehand. So as we can see in this storyboard story, it's about a bird. He wants to eat this pickle from that jar. So I draw this storyboard for myself. I wanted to do it an animation. So I started, okay, so first of it's just rough drawing. You don't have to do it like so professional. It's just rough drawing for yourself, thumbnails. First of all, I need a bird, pickle, so it means that I have to animate them. Then, what is my story? That bird decided to go and make a wish. Then he decided to fly. So now I have an action. It's a flying in the sky. I have to model a sky. Or if I'm going to do that outside, so it means I need a sky where my bird is going to fly. Then he arrived to one place. Then to the cave, found the kettle. He took that kettle, bring it to the jar, make that his wishes. The genie came, asked him for 3 wishes. He said, I just want that pickle from that jar. He made his wishes and he became so happy after that. So it's going to help me, the storyboard, to know where is my location, what is the dialogue, who are my characters. So a storyboard provides a visual layout of events as they are to be seen through the camera lens. And in the case of interactive media, it is a layout and sequence in which the user or viewer sees the content or information. So this is the basic one. So next next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So there are different types. You can use it as first one, second one. It's going to help you like to do your project telling. So I'm talking now, for example, about another thing. It's in night time in one city. We can see it's London. Then it's going pedestal camera. Now I'm using my camera moves if I want to take it as a camera or as just a storyboard. From one side to another side, we can see. Then I'm using zoom in, as you see, guys. Then zoom into the window. From window, we are going to use pan again. From pan, now I have 2 cameras moving. Next slide. Okay, now this is storyboard and the project planning for Little Red Riding Hood. So now we are going to see how it's moving. So production, it's a storyboarding template, and it's going to be in our web page if you want to use it. It's a Photoshop. if you would like. So usually what we are doing in our production, we write the name of our story, artist name, then shot, and in every shot we have many panels. So like shot has at least 2 to 3 panels. And if we need any transition, action camera, what's going on, dialogue, notes, and location. So let's move it like all together, Saguna, one by one. Yeah, we can see. So we are doing storyboard for Little Red Riding Hood. It helps us a lot. No, next one, it's okay. So that's the storyboard and the project planning. Now we are going to talk about types of shot. So we have 4 major different types of shot: long or wide shot, medium shot, close-up, extreme close-up. And I would like to tell you, it must be always like we are going to start with long or wide shot. Why? Because it's a human eye. So when you are going to anywhere, you usually see the whole picture. Then you are going by human eye, like smaller and smaller. So next slide, we will see what we are talking about. Yeah. So long or wide shot. This type of shot helps establish a general sense for the scene. It allows us to show the character within his or her context in surrounding circumstances. So, for example, my character is in the sea, in the water, so I need to show my audience where is he or she, and maybe it's cold, so I have to feel his feelings. So where he is, where she is, where is the action taking place, what types of elements will we have to interact with. So it's so important, and we usually always start with wide or long shot. Next one. It's a medium shot. So this still offers a wide view, but elements that otherwise would interfere with the message of the shot are cropped out, as we can see. Next one is close-up. This provides a better feel for feature and the reaction of character to the situation. At this point, the reaction will be more important to an audience than whatever caused it. So we are talking now about character. Next one will be extreme close-up. Here the audience will become with the person on screen, as we can see, eye to eye. But actually not only a person. So if we are, for example, I'm doing a cooking production. So I need to show my audience how I'm cutting that. So I need extreme close-up. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah. And second thing that we are going to talk about it's rule of third composition. That thing is so important for us. So we need to draw perfectly symmetrical composition with do the job for and epic or otherwise special moment. But when used regularly, the audience will just feel too self-conscious and convenient, missing any natural feel to it. Compositions are normally better based on off-center feel, while at the same time preventing us from going too close to the sides of the frame, falling again into a strange and uncomfortable look. So next one. Yeah, rule of third composition. Positioning our main elements on any of these axes. So as we can see, we have those axes or on their resulting intersection will help us get, first of all, interesting and well-balanced image. And believe me, everything in production or painting or anything use the rule of third. Next one. As we see, next one also. Okay, now we can like move between them. It's always in the rule of third composition. See, make it more interesting, more effective. Now, something to add. If we use 2 characters in our production, or in our animation, whatever, yeah. So we need to know something staying on the same side of the line. Advice that will help the audience keep a clear sense of geography along the same sequence of cuts. So I have to keep them at the same scale, the same balance, and the same eye line, and at the same places. Okay. Now, next one. Okay, so as I told you, even though if it is just painting, we have to use the rule of third. I painted that, by the way. The golden ratio composition. So, composition principle to create the most pleasing design layout composition. Main subject is placed within the spiral area. Spiral creates a natural and organic composition for the viewer. Okay, next one. Okay, so the golden ratio composition, the golden ratio and rules of third, as we can see how we put our elements inside our composition. Next. Yeah, as we see, it's crowded, but actually it's not crowded like whatever we wanted. We use the golden ratio composition. So we can see how our features are inside our composition. Next one. It's the same idea, using the golden ratio to become more interesting. And now we are going, yeah, okay, thank you. Now we are going to talk about camera moves if we are going to use like our cell phones or cameras or whatever. So we have many camera moves. With more camera freedom, we can adapt more line action terminology when applicable. So we have camera moves, we name it zoom. Next one. And pedestal, as we can see in the photo, the camera moves with my personage going up or down. Next one. And camera moves pan, it's the most that we use it in our cell phones or in cameras, but you can still use it like holding your phone, moving it forward, like in, out, it's the same. We name it pan. Next one. And tilt, it's going up and down. Next. Dolly, but this one needs a vehicle and it's more for advanced level, but we still can know the name of it. Next. Track, it's like dolly, but it's going from left to right or right to left. Next. 180-degree rule. So this is the most important in direction. So as a director, we must know the 180-degree rule. It's a basic guideline regarding the on-screen spatial relationship between the character and another character or object within a scene. By keeping the camera on one side of an imaginary axis between two characters, and first character is always frame right of the second character. So I'm going to take a shot for those two characters. I need to take all of my camera movements from just one side. In this photo, from green side. So I cannot move my camera to the opposite side. Otherwise, I'm going to confuse my audience. So I have to put all of my cameras or all of the position of my camera, whether it's animation or production or whatever you are going to take. We have to put all of our cameras in just one side. So to take a blue character, I have to put his camera here, like behind, over shoulder the yellow one. If I need to take a camera for the yellow one, I have to put his camera over shoulder the blue one. I cannot cross them, like to get right crossing. And to take a wide shot for them, it must be in front of them in the green side also, like as in the photo. So it's the most important thing. So moving the camera over the axis. Okay, 180, okay, thank you. Moving the camera over the axis is called jumping the line or crossing the line. Breaking the 180-degree rule by shooting on all sides is known as shooting in the round. but I don't recommend you to use it in this point. The 180-degree rule enables the audience to visually connect with unseen movements happening around and behind the immediate subject, and is particularly important in the narration of battle scenes. Next slide. Thank you. 180-degree rule. Again, we have line of action, 180-degree rule. We have two characters and how we are going to put our cameras. So where you position the camera in the scene is where you place the audience in the scene. Screen right and screen left, characters must stay on either screen right and screen left. So we can see camera A is taking both of them. It's wide screen, wide shot. And camera B is taking my blue character over shoulder my red character. Camera C is taking my red character over shoulder my blue character. Camera D, that's X. We cannot take it. It will be uncomfortable, and the audience is going to not understand where are my characters. So we have to must stay in one side of 180-degree. Every time characters change position, camera needs to create another 180 rule. So now by moving, we can move our 180-degree, but as they are staying, we have to stay in one side. Make sure the character are seen physically changing sides. So to get prepared for your structure shooting plan, so if I'm going to take a shot beside the sea, or I'm going to go to the mountain, yeah, you have to know your place first of all. Then it will be a good idea to do a trailer, then find your cast or just animate them, find the location as I told you, find your crew, plan your shot, list, production design, schedule, testing, and if you need any risk assessment, try to do them before then after, and try to take both of them. Maybe one of them will be better and you can use it. And now you can book your kit or just take your cell phone. Yeah. Next. Okay. And I wanted to share with you a video clip, but I'm not sure that I can share it, but it's still okay. So if you have any question, you can write for me in question and answers, and I'm going to answer you. And thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, Lara. Lama. That was an amazing thing you
You're
said.
welcome.
So, please add your questions to the Q&A, and we will get to them during the session. Sorry, people, it's confusing here. My name is Rama. She's Lama, and the other one is Lara. So a bit confusing, all of us. But yeah. So the next one, I'm going to introduce Lara. So Lara Şarlak research focuses on the role of migrants and refugee in transforming the urban infrastructure of our hometown, Istanbul, Turkey. Informed by various anthropological perspectives, Lara is drawn to question how immobility or mobility shapes material, spatial, and technological arrangement of the city, which are also linked to the broader issues of citizenship and sovereignty. Lara received an MA degree in anthropology of media at SOAS, University of London, and Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Media and Visual Arts in KFC University. As a researcher and a videographer, Lara strives to incorporate her visual skills into ethnography in a publicly accessible way. Would you like to take it away, please, Lara?
Hi, Rama. Thank you for the introduction. And Lama, thank you for your amazing presentation. I'm pretty sure mine will try to complete that. First, I need to share my screen. And I noticed there were several Q&A. Oh, host disabled attendee. Could you allow me to share my screen, Rama or Saguna? Okay, great. So I also noticed there in the Q&A, there were several questions about which software to use. I hope to answer that question in my presentation. So, okay, here we go. So this is a crash course editing for beginners. I just need to say that, like, point that there are much more to learn about editing, but this is like sort of, I will try to touch upon all the basics of it. So as Rama already introduced me, my name is Lara. I'm here because I love filmmaking, and you can find my films at this Vimeo portfolio I have, to have a sense of idea of who I am and what kind of films I'm interested in producing. So before beginning, I just wanted to give some tips. If you haven't filmed your film yet, and these could be several tips that can actually help you out, especially in the editing process. So first things first, you definitely should film in standard landscape format. I mean, you can use the other, but I think this is like the most standard format, so just stick to that. Just if you don't have a clapperboard, just use your hands, just like clap, and this will help you to synchronize your audio and video before you even begin editing, because then you'll have a sense of mark. And your subjects should avoid wearing stripes and checkered. Like, maybe this could be fine, but like, I'm talking more about the really thin ones that sort of glitch, and it can be distracting when you're editing and for your viewers. And if you can, always shoot a backup roll. You don't want to be upset once you hook your camera to your computer and notice that there are several footage that did not go as you imagine. And use a B-roll, which is secondary video footage outside of your primary. This is used to provide more context. I will get more into detail about what B-roll is, but you're just know that A-roll is basically your main footage, your main story, and B-roll will be like more of a complementary footages you'll use in your film as you edit. So first important rule is to organize. I can't stress this enough, because editing is like mainly about following an efficient structure, and more to be at your most efficient self, you should organize. What do I mean when I say organize? You should organize your footages. Like, just name your files, create project folders, organize your footages in them, all your audio files, transcriptions, images, anything that like fits into that folder. This will help you out as you edit. And watch all of your footages and just take notes. Just watch them all. Just have a sense of what you have in your plate. And it's a good idea to use external hard drives to store your projects, and always back up. This process will, in my opinion, save lots of time, and it's mostly in the context of editing on your computer, but I think it can even be applicable to your other devices like your tablet or your phone. So second important point is to choose the right software. You have to choose the platform in which you are most comfortable editing. There are, I can't tell how many free software programs out there. Just like pick whatever you feel comfortable in, just like play with those software programs. Just like download several, see which one suits you best, and don't forget to check out their tutorials, because there are always there's always people who know better than you and more like are used to using these software. So there are several free editing apps for different devices. Like GoPro Quick, Filmora Go. These two are often cited as good ones. Like they're rated pretty well. Or this also applies to your phone as well. So this is like Adobe Premiere Rush. This shouldn't be confused with Adobe Premiere Pro. But this is a free version, but this is also will cover like meet your needs. And Magisto is just another one. There are also several for your computer. One being Blender and the other one being iMovie. Unfortunately, iMovie is just available for Mac. But I suggest you to just search online, and because there are many, maybe these won't fit your needs as well. So maybe you might find something else. But there are so many, and they're all many of them are free. I personally use Premiere Pro, but that's you have to pay for it. So and it's like the most more on the professional side. So I think these will be more than enough for your for what you're looking for. But if you want to professionalize, of course, you can also start learning software like Final Cut or Premiere Pro. So third step is to assemble. So to create a sequence. You have your script or your storyboard. Even if it's a documentary film, you will have your script. You will have a sense of order of your footages, and to begin with, you just like need to create a project, and then import all your files into the software of your choice. Just import all of them. Just have them, like, because you might have many, and if you just import the ones that you would like to choose, then you will forget about the other ones, but maybe they will come in handy afterwards. And make sure you adjust the aspect ratio according to the frame of your footages. What do I mean by that? So if you film with your iPhone, say it has a different aspect ratio, being 2:1 or like 16:4. And then, but your software has a different aspect ratio, and you need to match these two. Otherwise, you'll have a screen, say like in 16:9, and then you'll have a square footage. Like you need to match those two. And you just add your clips to your video timeline and begin arranging your footages in order. Again, just follow your storyboard and your script and use your footages primarily from your A-roll, and then you'll get back to your B-roll later. And so you put them all in order, and then you have to watch it. You have to watch this long sequence. I'm saying long because I'm assuming you will always shoot more than you need. Never shoot less than you're going to shoot up to produce up to a 3-minute video. So you might have like even hours of footage. That could be a pain, but just put them in order, and then watch this long sequence, take notes, see which parts feel too long, which scenes are your favorite, and always save as you move along, of course. And this is your timeline, by the way. So this will be like your A-roll, this will be like your sort of B-roll, like your supplementary footages. But this will be your main story, like a main story. So yeah, as I said, sorry. So like the fourth step is very important. You have to cut it down, and just remember that, keep in mind that you're aiming for a short film that is up to 3 minutes, which is very short. and cutting down your film is actually more difficult than it seems. While watching your first cut, simply just ask yourself, is this scene necessary? And there are several tips to cut tight, actually. Just like avoid slow opening scenes. The opening scene is very important because that's mostly where you captivate the audience, and for you have only enough time just to open this 3-minute or maybe less video. So just avoid this and remove unnecessary pauses between your subjects' dialogues. This is just like an easy technique. Just cut and cut redundant lines, and just remove scenes that do not contribute to your project. Just watch it, always watch it, and then just ask, like, okay, how does this scene actually contribute to my project? So there are types of cuts that actually can be really efficient. The standard cut is just like the basic type. While you're watching a film, you'll just notice it's just cutting from one end to like the end of the clip to the beginning of another. There are no transitions. This is just the standard one. Jump cuts are actually an efficient technique that allow you to jump forward in time, usually done within the same frame. So like this is from Royal Tenenbaum's film by Wes Anderson. And here you'll notice that this character is just shaving. But instead of what the director does is, instead of showing the whole shaving process, it's just like jump cuts between steps. So it actually helps you to save a lot of time and has an engaging and fast sense of like emotion while you're watching. So it's a good technique. And there's the L cut and J cuts. They're the opposite of each other. So L cut is when you hear audio from the previous clip, and J cut is when you hear the audio before the clip. So they take their names from these forms. So here you will notice that the audio still goes on even though the video is cut, and the other way around. Even though like the audio of this footage goes way before, not way, but like slightly before the video, and these are good techniques to have, like to play with the emotions of the audience, the expectations of your audience. So when they hear, for example, when they hear the audio of an interview, they will get the sense that, oh, okay, I'm going to meet with this new character. And then the character is introduced also with visuals. So yeah, these are great techniques to play with. And there's also, by the way, there's so much more types of cuts, but I just wanted to discuss the basics of them, like common types. And there's also one cutaway type of cut, which is an interruption to the continuous shot in order to add more visual information. So this is like a good example for that. This is basically before cutaway, you watch this lady having a meal, and then there's a cutaway shot showing what she's eating, and then continue with the original shot. So as you edit, I need to tell you that you have to pay attention to sound. Just always make sure that your audio and video are in sync. Group them once you match them with the clap technique, and just like group them. So when you move one part, just like let it move together. And set your volume levels very carefully. Listen to your project both with your headphones and speakers at a medium volume level so that you can make sure that it sounds normal. Select a good music. I can't stress this enough. The song you choose can either make or break your film. If you choose songs with lyrics, make sure they don't distract the audience, and always dissolve your tracks. What I mean by dissolve is just like they gradually, once you have your track, they gradually increase the volume of the track, and then once the track is over, again, it gradually decreases rather than just like a sudden cut. And use sound bites to boost the atmosphere. There are plenty of royalty-free sound database online. See, for instance, freesound.org or soundbible.com. You can search it up, like free sound effects. So say if you have a scene where I'm holding this bottle and I have the scene, but like I'm putting this on my table, but you don't hear the sound of this, me putting this on the table. You couldn't record it, but you can always add it later with sound effects. I'm pretty sure if you search one of these databases, like like putting glass on the table, you'll find it, and you can enhance your atmosphere with these little techniques. And now, after this, like playing with these, cutting it up, you chopped your sequence. Finally, it's maybe like down to 3 minutes. Great. And now we have a rough cut. And once you have a rough cut, you can just start polishing your film. There are several techniques like effects. I just animated these effects so that you understand what I mean by keeping it simple, because otherwise it can be really distracting, like these. So there are several types of transition. One, fade in, fade out. Fades to use, like the fade in, fade out is just like it fades to a shot, to fades a shot to a single color, like usually black and white. It's a technique to signal beginning or end of the scenes. And also this is also used for audio. Dissolve is just as I explained earlier about the sound. It also applies to your footages as well. And it's a gradual fade from one shot to the next. And so crossfade is a transition between two shots, and also commonly used for audio. You can just like imagine mixing like two audios getting mixed. It's a transition. So there are wipes. This is just one shot is replaced by another shot in a geometric pattern. Just like if you watch Star Wars, you'll see a lot of these effects. It's like with a circle, the scene suddenly like closes and then another scene opens, that kind of effects. And zooming can also be used as a transition between shots to switch scenes. Just like imagine the camera focusing on an eye and then just opens with another screen. That kind of interesting techniques. But as I said, just keep it simple and keep them consistent. If you're planning to use effects, just make sure that they're consistent. So crossfade is just like that in the Shining scene, where you both see the character and the typewriter all blending together. This is the wipe effect, like the screenshot is only it's not doing really justice to the technique, but this is how it usually looks like. So another important point is just like when in doubt, just cover it up. If you don't find the visuals of your scene, like so aesthetically pleasing, search for other footages, and this is when your B-roll comes in handy. Just use those extra footages to hide undesirable frames and enrich your story. And final elements to consider, like these are just, again, part of the polishing. So you can use color correction or color grading. It's just to fix your film's color to achieve a naturalistic appearance to the footage. That's color correction. And for color grading, it's to improve the appearance of an image with an artistic touch. Think of color grading as like having an Instagram filter on your picture. Opening, closing credits, always give credit to those who helped you to produce your film. Just show that you appreciate their help, and don't forget to mention the soundtrack. And as for captions, if you're using captions, use clear subtitles, make them look consistent in terms of fonts, color, size, and position. Usually prefer white. It's the standard one. And you're almost there, but before you finalize, have feedback. It's always great to have other viewers' opinion before you finalize your film. Have a film screening with your loved ones and just show them. But this is an important step before you finalize your film, because just know that you are the one who knows that story, but just make sure that other people also get that story. What if they don't understand any of what you produce? Hopefully that won't happen, but just make sure that your story comes across. And finalize your film. Just time to export. Don't forget to have multiple copies, have backup, and export your film in a common video format. For online platforms, usually prefer just .mov, MP4, or AVI. And test the resolution of your film. Always watch it in full screen. See if the export settings are adjusted for high quality, but not like so high that it's an enormous file size. Just play with those settings. It will always show you how many megabytes your film going to be exported in. And to finalize, let's review some of these concepts. Voiceover, it's you probably know this, it's audio from an unseen narrator that accompanies video. Raw footage is the pre-edited footage that, like, these are the footage that come right out of your camera. Montage, it's a sequence of shots assembled in juxtaposition to each other, often set to music, used to evoke emotions. Aspect ratio, this is how the width and height of your video relate to each other. Dimensions are expressed through a ratio. I discussed this in the beginning of this webinar. It's like 16:9 or 4:3 are the common ones, like cinematic ratios. Sync, it's aligning an audio and video to plane synchronization. This is important. And one important thing to consider is also the continuity error. Just always be mindful of that. This can happen, but just be careful that when the action or elements of a scene are inconsistent, don't match across shots. Make sure that, like, let's say I broke the window behind me is broken, but in the next scene it's completely fixed. So just be careful about those kind of little details, that you have a continuity, you have a logic. And yeah, thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, you can just email me, and you'll find this webinar the recording of this webinar online. So we also have this Q&A. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that session, Lara. And okay, so Thank you, Lara and Lama. Please join us in a silent round of applause for their expertise today. And so before this, okay, we are going to now go to Q&A. I see a lot of questions. I hope Saguna has been answering some of them background. But okay, let's see what we have here. The first question is, what software or apps can we use to edit the movie together? I guess this is a question to Lara for editing. So maybe Lara, you would like to answer that.
Yeah. As I mentioned in my presentation, I mean, there are so many apps that you can, okay, I'm not on mute. There's so many apps that you can actually find online for free. I tried using GoPro Quick because I found the interface pretty easy to play with. But the Magisto one is rated pretty well. And for the desktop, I think iMovie is pretty decent if you use Mac. And there's I haven't mentioned that in my presentation, but there's Canva. You can just search Canva free online editor. It also has an aesthetically pleasing, in my opinion, like minimalistic sort of structure to play with. So I think it's, I believe it's easy. Yeah, and Adobe Rush, as I said, it's not Adobe Premiere Pro, but maybe to familiarize with Adobe, if you'd like to familiarize with Adobe's language at least, that could be a good start if you ever want to professionalize, because Adobe Premiere Pro is like the go-to software that is used in the industry usually. Although I'm not in the industry, that's what I been exposed to most of the time. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Perfect. That sounds good. And also, someone is asking, could you? I don't know. The question just disappeared. Okay, what happened? All right. Someone also asked, are we supposed to make it animated or an actual video with the people? So I'm going to answer that. Just a minute. So that is basically up to you. It doesn't really matter the format you choose, animation or video or stuff like that. That is entirely up to you. Just make it interesting and catching so that, you know, we'll enjoy it, and maybe you will get to win yourself a prize. Okay, someone is asking the PowerPoint topics and stuff. So I'm sure both the sessions were recorded and they will be available, I think, on the website, the ubc.ca, the Storytelling for Change. And in there, you will find our emails, all of the presenters, the ones that did the other presentation. I believe it was on 18th, if I'm not wrong. So if you have any other question, that is, you know, that you want to ask personally for any of the 4 presenters that we've had, or me, you will find our emails there. And so everyone, I think, has some part of their name in the email, so it shouldn't be very confusing. And yeah, I guess that would be all. I don't know if there's any other question or something like that. We have a 5 minutes warning, I think. It's almost time. So thank you for joining us. And before we wrap up this session, I would like to encourage you, you and your friends, your new network, to join our campaign, Storytelling for Change. It's officially open, so you will have to submit your videos by 1st August. And of course, as always, if you want to find out more, you can always visit our website. I think it's posted in the chat. And thank you everyone for joining us. This has been an amazing session. And we look forward to seeing your videos and broadcasting them and sharing them with, people all over Canada.